Okay, are we on? I think we are. Says we're streaming. Joe, are we ready to go?
We are ready.
Okay. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Community Board 10's General Board Meeting of December 20th, 2021. We are on YouTube live stream, and I'd like to start the meeting, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd like to start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to now call for an adoption of the agenda.
I move.
Oh, Julie, and do I have a second? I have Judy.
Joe.
I've got Joe
Second.
too. Okay, thank you. And also an adoption of the minutes of the November 15th board meeting. I've got Shirley, thank you, and Jonathan Bova, thank you. And now I'd like to move to the public session. We have with us, I just want to acknowledge, we have with us Frank Ingerbrethen of the 68th Precinct, and we have with us Councilman Justin Brannan. Justin, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, sure. Thank you. I didn't know I was the first to go.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's good to see everybody. Councilman Justin Brannan here. I didn't see you guys last month, so it's great to be back with you. Right now, really our number one focus over the past couple of days has been getting more testing sites in our community. Basically, what happened was City Hall moved to almost a full focus on vaccination, and they moved away from testing just at the unfortunate time that this new variant crept up on us. So now we're sort of scrambling to scale back up to having enough testing capacity for Southern and Southwest Brooklyn. So that's been what we're focusing on almost entirely the past 48, 72 hours. And, you know, obviously winding down with the de Blasio administration and working closely with the incoming Adams administration on transition, and just making sure that, you know, nothing gets lost in the shuffle. And, you know, the average person out there, the average taxpayer, doesn't care about transition. They want continuity. They want services delivered. That's ultimately what's most important, and that's what we're focusing on. So our office is remote now until the end of the year. Obviously, my staff is always available. I'm personally always available 24 hours a day, as some of you know. And it's an honor and a privilege to have been reelected and to be able to serve the communities where I grew up. And I always thank Community Board 10, especially you know, just the volunteers that really make this happen. You guys do amazing work, and you're all volunteers, and that doesn't go unnoticed by me or any of the local elected officials. We're all a big family and looking out for our community, and that's something that I respect and I value very, very, very much so. So Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody, and thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the new year.
Thank you very much, Councilman. And now we have Tori Kelly from Senator Andrew Gennardis's office.
Thank you, Lori. Hi, everybody. The councilman took a lot of what I'd like to say. Obviously, the past week, we've been focused on Omicron, and the senator and myself are working with City Hall to try and ramp up some testing sites along with the councilman. Hopefully, we'll have some announcements on some new testing locations and or community-based groups that would, you know, maybe be able to distribute the at-home tests, which I know are in high demand right now. So as always, we'll keep the community board updated on all those announcements. And so next year, we will be going back into the legislative session. So there will be a lot more activity and updates from Albany from the senator. So looking forward to that. And then just really have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays on behalf of Senator Gennardis and our entire staff. We look forward to working with you in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have also with us Donald DeRosa for the New York City Comptroller's Office. Donald, would you like to say a few words this evening?
No updates from me. Try to stay in everyone's good graces, a little holiday present, but I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe holidays and a healthy new year. Hopefully we can have a 2022 that is slightly better than the way that we are ending 2021, but it's great to see everyone. Have a good one.
Great, thank you very much. And we have also with us Ms. Vajat from Assemblyman Michael Tannousis' office. Would you like to say
Yes.
anything?
Yes. Hi. Hey, Lori. Hi, everyone. This is Hanan here. I know usually Basil joins you guys, but he was unable to attend this evening. So I'm here on behalf of Assemblyman Michael Tannousis. He wishes everyone a happy, healthy new year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. As always, our doors are always open to all. We've been working on various cases. No really big span of concentration. We're still getting an influx of unemployment cases with the DOL, and now we're working predominantly the Assemblyman is concentrating on a lot of the school safety measures. Unfortunately, given the current events that have been unfolding throughout the Staten Island side of the district in various high schools, so he is planning on, along with Assemblyman Riley, planning on passing certain legislation to help safety measures in our schools. So that's currently the Assemblyman's big concentration. But as always, any issues, anything we can help, anything we can do, please call our office. Unfortunately, I know Basil's part-time, but you can always call the Staten Island office. We are in the office every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So I'll just put everything in the chat. And again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and see you in the new year.
Thank you very
Everyone stay
much.
safe. Thanks.
And now we have Nancy Lulu from Brooklyn DA's office.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Best wishes and greetings from District Attorney Eric Gonzalez to everyone. Our office continues to work to make sure that Brooklyn communities remain safe. Just a couple of announcements. The DA's office participated and partnered with various organizations with holiday toy giveaways over the weekend. It was really great to be out there and put a smile on children's faces. I just really want to thank everyone that supported our holiday toy drive. It's really greatly appreciated. And I'm going to be short this evening. Just want to remind everyone with our Action Center's phone number, if there's anything you would like to speak to us about, to call 718-250-2340. Also, I want to thank Community Board 10 for all their work for the community. And also on behalf of DA Gonzalez and staff, we would like to wish everyone a safe and happy holiday season and a healthy new year. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me. And if you need anything from our office, you could reach out. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And we have with us also Jessica Callow from still Borough President Adams's office.
Yes. Yes. Next month, that will be a different story, but
That's right.
hello, everybody. A little bit longer than usual because we're closing out the year. So bear with me. Borough President Adams extends his deepest gratitude to every Brooklynite. He has been honored to serve as your borough president the last 8 years. Brooklyn Borough President and Mayor-elect Eric Adams' investments since taking office at Borough Hall has been over $440 million in capital funding, the highest of which has been over $200 million allocated to education, which we know is very important to the constituents of South Brooklyn. With that, he wants to give a great thank you to everybody for their support and for letting him work with you for the last 8 years. A happy and safe holiday season and a happy and healthy new year.
Merry
Thank
Christmas,
you very
Jessica.
much, Jessica.
Thank you.
And we'll still see you though, because we see you around. You're always around.
I live in the district, so you can't get rid of me that quickly.
All right, thanks so much and happy holidays. And we have Charmaine Mangaroo from Assemblywoman Frontis's office.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Charmaine Mangaroo. I'm Chief of Staff for Assemblywoman Mato Frontis. I, first of all, wanted to let everyone know our office is working remotely because of the COVID spike. However, we're reachable. Our notice is on social media, on the doors of our offices. You can always reach out to us. Our staff is available to you. Also wanted you to know that the report from our Southern Brooklyn Roundtable, which was hosted on October 26th, has been sent out. It was an opportunity for people, for our constituent in Southern Brooklyn, to meet with an expert to discuss some of the safety challenges that we've seen with respect to pedestrian, especially with the different types, the new types of not vehicles, but scooters and all that stuff that's going on, driving, all the irresponsible driving that we've been having, and a lot of the tragedies that have resulted from it, and some of the alternatives that would make the streets safer. So that report was sent out today. So just be mindful, check your mailbox, and then you can see some of the alternatives that were discussed as to how we can make our streets safer. And then hopefully we can have some of that implemented in the new year by law. Other than that, the member wants everyone to know that she's very happy to have served you this year, as she has the past 3 years, and she looks forward to serving you again in the near future. And happy holidays and happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you very much. And I see that member Doris Cruz has her hand up. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I don't want to ignore you. All right.
I attended the roundtable.
Okay.
And I have not received the report.
The report was sent out today. It was from an email blast. So you should be on our email list. If you're not, I will add you. If you want, you can just put your information in the chat, and I'll take note of it.
Thank you.
So that I can send it.
But since I logged onto the forum, you should have my email, but I will.
Right. That's why. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get it, but I will. You know what? You don't even have to. Just let me just write your name down, and I will absolutely send it to you tonight.
Doris Cruz. Or you can send it to Josephine, and she can send it to me.
Okay.
We can both review it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that closes our public session. I just want to give a last call. I don't see anyone here.
I saw Lori Windsor was on.
Did you? I don't see her, but
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
would you like to speak?
Just really briefly, hi, everyone.
Sure. Hi.
Just to let you know, we're still in the office. We're at 7716 3rd Avenue, right across from Greenhouse Cafe next door to Louis Gyros. We're there 9 to 5 every day. If you need to get us, it's 718-306-1620. And on behalf of the Congresswoman, wishing everyone a very happy holiday and a happy and healthy new year.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now I think we're done with the public session, I believe. Anyone else here who I apologize, I may have missed? No? Okay, so we are done. We're done with the public session, and we are on to the chair's report. So good evening and welcome to our December 20th, 2021 board meeting. This is our last board meeting of 2021, and our agenda is relatively short. So hopefully we won't take too much time away from your shopping, cooking, baking, wrapping, general merriment of the season. So it's been quite a year, and we've seen many, many changes. And when I think back on my chair's report from this time last year, I'm very thankful that we have made the progress that we have against this virus. The year's been challenging for us as a board in terms of the many legislative changes that have been proposed or affected. And we were very busy all year long. And I think Santa should put us all on his nice list for all the hours that we have worked and donated this year. I would like to mention that at the borough board meeting this month, we were given a presentation by the Department of Transportation to update the members on the status and the next steps for open restaurants. And they're working on the permanent design goals. And they are presently consulting with various agencies, including the fire department, departments of health and sanitation, small business services, and Alfresco New York, which is a project of the RPA, the Regional Planning Association, which is a non-for-profit coalition of hospitality, restaurant, transportation, and design advocates. And as for public engagement, they will be holding public roundtable sessions in January. And they also have a website where people can take a survey and leave their comments. They also mentioned that they would like submissions of photographs of what people considered good and bad design features in street structures. So I urge everyone to attend the roundtables and submit their comments online in order to do our best to shape the way that our city will look as we enter this reconstruction of our streetscapes. I was also very happy at the Borough Board meeting to be introduced to our incoming Borough President, Antonio Reynoso. He promises to work hard for Brooklyn and that he will be keeping us busy, he says. I look forward to our boards partnering with him as he steps into his role as Borough President and our outgoing Borough President begins his term as mayor. As Mr. Reynoso said at the Borough Board, spread love, it's the Brooklyn way. And some of you may recognize the song lyrics, some may not. Some of the words of the song we can't repeat, but I really believe that these lyrics have it right. Spreading love is the Brooklyn way. I've always loved the big personalities and the big hearts of Brooklyn, especially around the holidays. It's what drew me here and what has kept me here for most of my life. It's the place that shaped so many of us. It's the reason we board members devote our time trying to amplify the voice of the Brooklyn people in this district. And sometimes we disagree, and sometimes we get on each other's nerves, and sometimes we fight. But like any big Brooklyn family, we work it out. So to my big community board family, I thank each and every one of you for caring enough to disagree, to get aggravated, and to fight. You are spreading love the Brooklyn way all year long. And I thank you, thank you, thank you. And I wish you the happiest of holidays and the very best 2022. Respectfully submitted, Lori Willis, Chair. And now we are on to the district manager's report.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, board members. And Lori, that you set us all in a great mood, continuing on that Brooklyn spirit. I'm happy to report that this month, the community board, we really went out to publicize and promote the Department of Sanitation's leaf collection. Since, there are many residents who are kind of down about, still waiting for organics recycling to come back to District 10. There was great excitement around leaf collection, and the community board district office, we distributed close to 600 bags, leaf collection bags. And I have one resident who happily shared his photos of all his leaf collections. So all is good on many of our blocks who were able to compost their leaves. So I wanted to share that news with members. I'd be remiss in the month of December without speaking about Diker Lights. The district office had 2 interagency meetings with the mayor's office that the mayor's office of CECM helped coordinate, and Councilman Brannon. And, it really is our effort here to focus on 2 key issues that remain: traffic control and complaints about vending. As you know, Councilman Brannon passed a local law banning vending in the prime viewing area. This year, the shift of enforcement responsibility was shifted to the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, who were on the interagency call, and they went out with NYPD to go out and issue some warnings to those who were not following the rules. The Department of Environmental Protection also issued 1 violation for noise. I just want to say a special thank you to the 68th Precinct and to Patrol Borough Brooklyn South, who once again provided additional patrol officers and resources to attract the overwhelming traffic control, because I think there was more buses than ever. Tour buses, and the NYPD also added a light tower that brightens the intersection at 12th Avenue and 86th Street for pedestrian safety. And that was a request that was made a number of years ago to improve visibility. It is also the tour bus drop off. The district office, we still field many calls from residents. Traffic can be overwhelming. And as we move closer to Christmas Eve, we expect that to be the same. And the police department is working hard to make sure things are going smoothly. And also a thank you to the Department of Sanitation, who has placed corner baskets at most of the corners in the prime viewing area. So I just want to make a couple of quick announcements. First, I would like the board to join me in congratulating Community Board 10 member Issa Masood, who was voted to be the next president of the Fifth Avenue Business Improvement District. So congratulations to Issa. The January general meeting is set to take place on Monday, January 24th, 2022. At this point, we're not really sure if we're going to be back in person with the new variant. We're still awaiting word. But right now, the governor's order expires on January 15th. But we will make sure we keep board members updated. And I just want to say on behalf of Dorothy, Jennifer, and myself, we would like to wish all a very Merry Christmas for all of you who are celebrating, and a very happy and healthy and hopefully COVID-free New Year. So happy New Year all. Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Josephine. And now Shirley Chin with Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, everyone. The Treasurer's Report as of November 30, 2021. The total personal services is $98,567.17. Total other than personal services, we have $9,563.24, leaving an encumbered budget balance of $153,088.59. So wishing you all a happy holiday and Merry Christmas, and see you in 2022.
Thank you, Shirley. Okay, and now we are on to the committee reports. And we have the Police and Public Safety Committee report with Barbara Vellucci. She's got the biggest agenda of the evening. Barbara, where are you?
Oh no, Barbara's not here. She said she would be a little bit late.
Okay, so if we can, if no one minds, I would like to change the order, and maybe we will move on to the Joint Zoning and Land Use and Traffic and Transportation Committee report. And just get that out of the way before Barbara gets here. Who's taking that? Is that Anthony or
That is Doris.
that Doris? All right, Doris, you're on mute. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Josephine, for bringing up our slides.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling to your section. Okay,
Okay,
here we are.
it doesn't mean anything.
There we go. Okay.
Zoning and Land Use Committee and Traffic and Transportation Committees members met in quorum to review the next step in the open restaurants permanent program. The Department of Transportation and the Department of City Planning provided a presentation outlining the next steps of this process at the Brooklyn Borough Board meeting held on December 7th. Open Restaurants Permanent Program is being formed to comply with New York City law, local law 114, and will consist of both roadway, cafe, seating programs and improvements, transfer of authority for sidewalk cafes as a successor to the Department of Consumer Affairs sidewalk cafe program, and will now be managed by the Department of Transportation with rules to follow. And that's been one of our issues, rules to follow. As you know, as you may know, the Department of City Planning voted in support of the text changes to move to this next stage to a program that will be guided by coming legislation and a rigorous public engagement process. And that's questionable. It was stated by Vice Chair Knuckles prior to his affirmative vote that it is the hope that the advisory role of community boards will be considered. Excuse me. And that the quality of life issues raised by communities with the expectation that those areas will be vigorously enforced. The changes to the text will not go into effect until the new rules have been adopted by DOT. This has not yet been voted upon by the New York City Council. It is scheduled to be voted upon at the last stated city council meeting on December 23rd. The design engagement process, as defined by the agencies, is published on the Department of Transportation website. The permanent program will look different as compared to the emergency program. DOT, the Department of Transportation, will administer both the sidewalk and the roadwalk seating program to be available citywide. DOT is looking at more robust, fine-tuned sidewalk clear path and roadway siting criteria. Interagency coordination on enforcement. There are interagency questions about interagency coordination on enforcement. DOT will enforce barriers, clear path, ADA compliance, amplified sound devices, NYPD will continue to enforce noise. Department of Sanitation will continue to work with communities and the Department of, just help me here, DOHMH
Department of Health and Mental Hygiene.
will enforce food safety rules. The engagement partners include the fire department, the police department, the sanitation department, the Department of Health and
Mental
Health.
hygiene.
Okay. Small business, and they're meeting regularly to identify key issues, and Alfresco Coalition, and Alfresco, which is a coalition of industry professionals, planning and accessibility advocates to collect best practices. There will be virtual public roundtables hosted by DOT and DCP. There will be only 2 virtual public roundtables, one on January 11th from noon to 1:30, and one on Wednesday, January 12th from 6 to 7:30. March 2022 will be the draft release, and spring 2022 additional round. There will be an additional round of public engagement and updated guidelines. There were important questions raised at the Brooklyn Borough Board, including will elected officials and community boards have a say when restaurants apply for an open restaurant program? The answer was community board input has been a huge issue that we hear from folks across the city as part of the emergency program. And we are actively thinking about the community board input and the process piece of this, and we will be addressing this moving forward. No, it's really not defined. Another question, will DOT commit that there will be some kind of input? Response was, as we go forward, it will not be self-certification. Community boards will have a say. Will community boards have a say in the acceptance? Will it be advisory or input? It is helpful to hear from community boards that they would like more of a say. Richard Barrett, Land Use Director for the Brooklyn Borough President Adams, stated it is critical when design process goes through that boards provide input as to what are good examples and what are bad examples, and we've got them. The city, as part of the discussion, the city is moving forward with this discussion. As you know, board members supported the emergency open restaurant program and its extension through 2022, while raising concerns about clear path requirements and the impact on the retail landscape, especially when multiple cafes are located on one block and giving up public space for private use. Committee members pointed out that many of the outdoor cafe sheds that were built do not abide to temporary guidelines put forth by the DOT, and there has been little done to address these concerns. Many businesses are taking advantage of multiple tables and chairs and all enclosed structure from an inside dining structure establishment. Members discussed roadway dining safety. The night our committee met, there was a news story about an outdoor cafe that collapsed in Manhattan. What happens to all the current structures that are not in compliance, and can the Department of Transportation handle a big question? Can the Department of Transportation handle enforcement in a future permanent program. Also discuss what this is a small issue for many community boards are not impacted by this program. But we have nearly 200 sidewalk and roadside permits. And as other boards who are greatly impacted, and we should have a seat at the table for input at the early stages and design recommendations. Community boards that are impacted should join sister agencies currently meeting regularly. We should be included in the process if we have substantial establishments in our community. In addition, members spoke about favorability, about seasonal non-roof structures, and expansion of sidewalk cafe regulations that may have more leeway, and how safely and respectfully have a program that takes all this feedback into consideration. Members also thought it important to note that CB10 has never disapproved a sidewalk application cafe presented for our review, and believes the new program should include CB's community board review. Community board, in addition, for our street activity, Community Board 10 has supported local street fairs, sidewalk strolls, and shopping locally. The committee also noted that this program only supports restaurants. It does not support all of the other businesses in our community that have been adversely affected by the pandemic. We support our clothing stores, our independent pharmacies, our bookstores, our dry cleaners, our grocery stores, our hardware stores, our barber shops, our nail salons, and many, many more. There was an open retail program during the pandemic. That program has not been renewed. Why is not there support for all the other businesses? Members also stressed that we are a residential community, except for the 86th Business District. We understand the concept of enlivening and support the streets. In doing so, we must look carefully at the fact that we are a residential district. What we have on 3rd Avenue and 5th Avenue, which is where the bulk of the issues can be found, are all located in residential zones with commercial overlay. The purpose of the overlay is to support the people in the residential community, not the other way around. We must remind the agencies that we are a residential district. We need to support the residents as we move forward. There are also concerns that the Department of Transportation does not have the resources to monitor outdoor dining, especially at 3 a.m. Remember, the person who cannot sleep may be the ICU nurse treating a member of your family tomorrow, or a bus operator driving someone in your family tomorrow. Concerns were also raised about the use of propane heaters without proper ventilation. The residential streets in Community Board 10 with commercial overlay are also bus routes. The bus routes must not be impacted, and riders must be safe entering and exiting buses. After much discussion, a motion was made by Judy Mullen. The committee recommends that we send a letter to the Department of Transportation and the Department of City Planning to urge that Community Board 10 has a seat at the table during the design engagement process. We want to make clear in this letter that the open restaurant program, which we support, was an emergency approach to a crisis, and that moving forward with a permanent program, we need to work with DOT and DCP to create something that will work for our residential community. The Department of Transportation and City Planning must acknowledge the impact of outdoor dining has had within our mostly residential district, and moving forward, we could support seasonal non-roof structures as an expansion of sidewalk cafes and any feature that would safely, effectively, and respectfully advance the concept of livening the public street while addressing the quality of life and street safety impacts. I would also like to note that when we talk about noise, from March of 2020 to present, the community board received 1,167 complaints. 454 of those complaints were after 11 p.m. That's 39% of complaints were after 11 p.m. Can the DOT guarantee that those complaints, and they will have agents available to address those complaints? The committee would also like to share examples of these impacts within our residential community. Lack of enforcement of existing rules, non-compliant sidewalk and street structures, amplified sound, street noise, street level noise, which I just addressed, vermin and rat issues, double parking, illegal parking, compliance of sidewalk clearance and clear path regulations, pedestrian vehicle safety, public transit, personal vehicles, bicycles, e-bikes, scooters, traffic safety, and pedestrian safety. Community Board 10 is a vibrant pedestrian area. Intersections must be daylighted to guarantee pedestrian safety. Sidewalks must allow for passage by residents in wheelchairs, walkers, and for families with strollers. Bus stops must be clear. So we have a motion on the floor. Quorum. Discussion? Yes, Larry. I think you're muted, Larry.
You can hear me
Okay.
now?
I can hear
No,
you
I'm
now.
just saying about, did you emphasize about bicycles and motorized bicycles? And because I know, I mean, it's just chaos out there and they're simply just disobeying the rules. I don't know who's going to enforce this. It's going to be up to the police department to enforce this. You know, I almost killed 2 people this weekend. It's just these bicycles just going the wrong way in the street. They're right in the middle of traffic and don't go in the bicycle lane. They weave in and out. I'm not joking. It's crazy. And they complain about being, you know, people being hurt or killed by motor vehicles. So they're in the wrong place. And again, I don't know. Did you emphasize that about enforcing this? About bicycles, or should they be licensed, or say they should pay insurance? Or
I would just comment, there's no clear, there are no rules yet. And we don't know who will enforce. And that, at this point, they're saying DOT will enforce. But we're not sure, and that's one of the concerns is we're asking to vote on something where we have no regulations and no protocol.
Well, I mean, I always remember you when you get your driver's license, your driver's manual, it says bicycles are supposed to obey all vehicular rules of the road, and we could say more often than not they don't. They drive on sidewalks. They drive against traffic. It's dangerous and it's just getting worse. And is, you know, they're almost like, you know, it's like beholden. You can't even touch them there. You can't enforce the law. It's just it's a bad scene. There's bicycles all over.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Anne?
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking as much as an individual and a resident as a zoning committee member. I don't know how the street structure concept, so misguided, has moved to the point of working out the details. Having a seat at the table, the seat will be a folding chair. And I'm aghast at this program. And I really wonder who the small contingent is that is in favor of this whole concept. That's it. I'm sorry to be so emotional about it.
I got you, Anne. Judy?
In making the motion to write a letter, it was in that same vein that Anne has described, is that we want to make it absolutely clear that our position is it's ill-conceived. It was an answer to an emergency, a COVID emergency, an economic emergency. It should not be a permanent solution. There's really, now that we're having ability to get into restaurants, I know we're seeing a spike now, but still it was stabilizing, and the outdoor cafe situation is just not suitable to our neighborhood the way it's conceived now. We have a methodology for outdoor dining, It was the outdoor dining rules, which were clear and contained. This new version it's just like the Wild West. It's anybody can do it anyway. There's no rules, and I just think it's just so ill-conceived. So our seat at the table would be to strongly object.
Steve,
Oh, Steve,
I think you're on mute.
No, hold on. I wasn't on mute. I just didn't realize you were calling me. I just want to put my 2 cents in and say, first of all, I totally agree with Judy and Ann. Okay, that for us to be talking about this on the details, see, we're almost falling into the trap of not recognizing that this is a problem. It's ill-conceived. It's addressing a problem that doesn't exist. When Ann, I believe it was Ann or Judy that said that it's a permanent solution, where, you know, like that we were looking for something as a temporary solution for the restaurants, and now they're looking at it as a permanent solution. That's not 100% correct, because it's not a permanent solution, because it's a solution to nothing. It was a solution to a problem that never existed prior to COVID. What it is people who saw an opportunity in COVID, which I find really reprehensible, in order to find, you know, to expand something that did not need expansion, right? Nobody was clamoring for it. I don't even think the restaurants were clamoring for it, to be honest with you. It's just that they now find it. And we find something here where the city is giving away property that's worth billions, literally, okay, to people I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, if it's a problem, if we're supposed to be a solution addressing a problem, what is the problem? What was the problem? The problem was a temporary one. It's, you know, when that's over, I mean, while this is going on, and with Omicron, who knows how long it'll go on, I really do support that. Like, I think everybody here does. But to say that we're using that now for the future to go on in perpetuity just makes no sense at all. That's it.
Hanan, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Doris, for that information. I just was curious about the virtual roundtables. I know that there was one in January 11th and the following day. Do we have any links or anything for that?
Yeah, those links will be posted on the Department of Transportation's website. I
Okay.
can send that to you. I mean, the links and registration will be required, and it's on the DOT website.
Okay, great. Yes, we'd love to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean?
Yeah, this is just my opinion, but this whole thing with making the outdoor cafes permanent is strictly from the mayor. That's my view. He's pushed this from day one, and he wants it to happen, and it's going to happen. Us having a seat at the table will do absolutely nothing to help. I don't think the new mayor will turn this around. We'll see what happens, but this is strictly Mayor de Blasio, in my view. In answer to, I think Larry was questioning enforcement regarding motorized vehicles, the scooters and everything. Nobody enforces it now, and nobody will enforce it tomorrow. It's going to be another disaster. And I know I sound very negative, but if there's no one enforcing it today, what makes us think somebody's going to enforce it tomorrow? Folks, it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. That's my view.
Okay. I don't see
I'd like to reinforce something.
anyone else with their hand up, but I would like to say something. A lot of what you're saying, I mean, a lot about, you know, the inception of this plan and the fact that, you know, that we shouldn't really be discussing the details at this point, was brought up by, you know, the various community board chairs who were at the borough board meeting when we received our update on what they were doing, you know, and they were going back to the fact that, you know, there's a lot of opposition to this, that they didn't think, you know, it should be permanent. I will say, you know, and Doris was correct. You know, I reviewed the planning commission's vote on this, and they all spoke and said that they really all wanted the rules first. They wanted to know what the program was going to be. And, you know, even at Borough Board, there was really, I would say, I don't recall hearing from anyone, any of the chairs saying that their board, you know, didn't feel similarly to us, you know, very concerned about it. And the response really from DOT at that point was, understand, this is not a public hearing. We're here to talk to you because we're formulating the plan, you know, for the details, because the zoning resolution's already been voted on, you know, the change in the zoning. And so now we're going ahead with making the details on this plan. And this is the outreach that we're doing. We are having these roundtables, and where you can submit your comments online. And that's it. And a lot of the members spoke out, including myself, saying, well, we feel that boards should have a seat at the table. But, you know, as Steve said, and the way they're progressing on this, they're past that. They're done. They're done with, this isn't a question of whether or not it should or should not happen. It's happening. That's really sort of the upshot that I took away from that. Joe, you were there as well. Did you get the same thing? That was pretty much what we were told.
Yes, absolutely. But there, you know, there was that, I mean, there was concern from all the boards saying, I mean, every board on at that meeting was saying loud and clear that, and I think one person interjected, well, how can we change this? You know?
Yes.
And you felt that frustration.
And then I'm going to keep reinforcing this, that we have many businesses in our community, and only one type of business is being given some kind of relief and future program. What is there for all the other retail businesses? Right. I think there are other forces driving this, and as Josephine noted in I don't know if you, when I was talking, I don't know if you actually looked at her slide, but some boards have, our neighboring, one of our neighboring boards has 5 establishments. We have close to 200. So there are different impacts on different communities. And as was clearly noted in our last meeting, that we are a residential community with a commercial overlay. And we have to consider the impact of this on the residents and on all the other local businesses, because other local businesses are suffering because people can't get to their stores.
And also, I just want to mention, though, Lori, too, that Richard Bierak did mention at that borough board meeting, he was encouraging boards to send letters and to document good examples, bad examples, that this would be the time to do that to the Department of Transportation. That was his recommendation or advice.
Yeah, and that was his recommendation, that people actually take pictures. So if you see a setup that is no good and the problems it's creating, please send that to them. That the visuals really, it was his opinion that the visuals on that very much help.
That would have to be a moving picture.
And I will tell you, there is concern with how they're discussing the program. These structures will have to be removable. If there is some kind of construction or something else going on in the street, they will have to be removed. If there's a weather issue, they will have to be removed. So there's a concern that there will not be the safest structures. And one of the things that came up at the borough board meeting and has come up at other meetings is these are structures where people are sitting and living, and why is the Department of Buildings not involved in reviewing the plans?
Okay, I see, Jill, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so 2 things. Lori, thank you for what you said, and I totally agree with you. You know, I joined this board, and for the many years I've been on it, it's always been advisory, but it's very disheartening to sit here and try to make a difference in our community when we really don't have much of a say in anything if we don't have a seat at the table. So when my time is up, it's up. And I want it on record that community boards, it's a waste of time sometimes for me. That's how I feel. And it's upsetting. To speak about the structures and having rules and regulations, like everything else, nothing really is followed or enforced. I have been going to restaurants in Brooklyn where nobody checks vaccines, even though they're supposed to, where nobody wears masks, even when they're supposed to. So in general, everything is disheartening to me at this point. So I just feel annoyed, upset, and just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you. Ruth?
Yes, thank you for calling on me. I agree with everything that's been said. I want to add, should we be a little hopeful maybe because we're going to have a new mayor? And could we try some new tactics to try to appeal to the new mayor? Also, I just want to add that I think the residents of Bay Ridge want the parking spots back on the avenues. I think parking is tight enough, and what was said about other stores is quite true, that they're suffering. I mean, it's so hard to pull into a meter and run into another store because all the structures are there. And also, if you look at the structures and make a ratio for time used and space taken up, it's really pretty low. Most of them are not used now and probably won't be, for a lot of months until the warm weather kicks in again. So I hope we could be creative along with the other boards and make some noise about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. You made some very good points.
Hold on, I would like to make a comment.
Mhm.
The zoning committee has met too many times on this issue. And then we met again with the traffic and transportation committee. And never once in those discussions did parking came up. But the only issue that came up was the quality of life for the residents in our community. Because we are considered sometimes by outsiders, we've been considered a community that only cares about parking. And there were no discussions about parking.
Okay, thank you, Doris. Preston.
Thank you, Lori. Doris, in your report, you mentioned some interagency collaboration, and I actually have two questions on that front. First is on the parking, and as a teenager, it's hard to cross the streets because on one side of the the sheds for the outside restaurants, there's double parking, and it's kind of hard to see the cars going around double parking there. So I'd like to know if there's any update from the NYPD in how they'll be addressing double, triple parking from these parking spots being removed. And also, I think you mentioned this. I just wanted to double clarify sanitation. Some of these places in 2 years have not been street swept from these establishments have put these, in the street have been cleaned. Is there any update on how, a time period where restaurants have to remove their structures to be cleaned and put back?
The answer to your second question is no, there's no information on that. And to the first one, there were questions raised because our commercial corridors, 3rd and 5th Avenue, not every intersection has a light. And even if they have lights, the structures block visibility, especially on turning cars. And there's a serious concern about pedestrian safety. That was raised, and it has not been addressed.
Okay, thank you. Masood, would you like to speak? No? Or
yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry.
So just to add, I mean, I agree with mostly with everything everyone is saying regarding the structures, but I'm not sure who can answer this or if this was attempted already. Could we get maybe Brandon's office or Gomardez's office to help in with giving a voice to a lot of the community boards?
We hope so.
Do you think they'll go on board, or have we spoken to them already, or not yet? regarding this.
Justin, do you hear the question?
Is he here?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Do you hear the question? Do you hear our concerns?
Of course, yeah. I mean, community board for me is the voice of the community. So obviously, whenever I go into these situations or negotiations or whatever it may be, I have in my mind the voice of what the community boards want. I will say, I do think that there is the opportunity for some hope with the new mayor, just because it's going to be a different approach. And I think we can only be hopeful in that sense, with all these issues. So I never want anyone, I mean, I got my start on the community board, and I understand the volunteer hours that folks put into this work. And sometimes it often feels very, very thankless. I never want anyone to feel like it's in vain, or like that it's not worth doing, because it certainly is, because we listen, and Josephine and I and Lori and I work very closely together. And when I'm there representing, when I go to City Hall to represent 170,000 people, the folks that I'm thinking quite a bit about are folks on the community board. So I never want anyone to feel like the work here is in vain at all, whether it's advisory or not. So no matter what the issue, not just on the outdoor dining structure issues, but on all issues.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
Justin, the question is, how you feel about it? Not how do we feel about it? How do you feel about it? I think that's the question that was being asked. I mean, are you in favor of these things? And if you are, to what extent? I think we'd like to hear from you on that. I mean, I think they've been a lifeline for our restaurants back when you couldn't dine indoors. I think ultimately the fun is going to end as soon as the city figures out a way to make money off of these outdoor dining structures. I can't imagine that it goes on. I mean, we spoke before about the sidewalk cafe. Those licenses and the prices, the cost of those licenses was exorbitant. So I can't imagine that we continue allowing businesses to have these outdoor dining structures for free. So I would assume that once that becomes an issue, I think you might see some consolidation there when businesses realize, whenever this pandemic is over, whenever we declare that it's over, I would assume that we go back to that. I do think that because of de Blasio and his Department of Transportation, where a lot of folks feel like they have a quota and they're just looking to sort of bulldoze their way through whatever it is they're doing, there's a feeling that, this is a war on parking or a war on cars. This was really just a lifeline to keep small businesses afloat. That's what it was about. It wasn't about taking away parking spots. Certainly understand the concerns around parking, but I mean, thus far it's been okay. I mean, we've had these outdoor dining structures and people are still finding a place to park their cars, and the world hasn't ended. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but I do think that at some point there's going to be a situation where the city's going to start charging for these outdoor dining structures, and that will be the moment where I think you'll see you'll maybe see some consolidation here. But I will say this, that we've been working with City Hall and Department of Transportation for the outdoor dining structures that are not being used, and they're just sort of sitting there like abandoned shipwrecks. We've been working with DOT to have some of those structures removed. If they're not being used and they're just sitting vacant and they're just sitting as storage and they're sort of eyesores and whatever it may be, then we are trying to return those parking spots. But for outdoor dining structures that are being used by restaurants, for now there's not much we can do. But if people do have locations that are not being used, then I would love for folks to reach out to let us know.
Just.
Okay, thank you. If I can, I'm sorry, Judy.
I've been in restaurants where they're fully utilized. Every table, their existing tables are fully used, and then the outdoor structure is
empty,
normally used. So why is that fair that they just got in? They don't need the outdoor structure. They're fully Positano, every table's filled and their outside is filled. So they get a double whammy, and that's not fair. And the same for Cebu, and they're fully utilized in and out. And it's just that, so they're getting a whammy, and it's not right. It's just not right.
Okay, Julie, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yes, I actually have a few things to say. First of all, I'm sorry to say that I sadly do have to agree with Jill, because, what we've been told in the past is, no matter what our feelings are, we voice our opinion and we work hard to try to come up with solutions for things. Unfortunately, the Department of Transportation or the school construction authority, whoever it may be, can override anything that we do. So that's one thing. As far as these structures are concerned, no one has mentioned what's going to happen when it starts to snow. And I have huge concerns about when the plows are going to have to come through, and we're going to have bad weather in the winter. Hopefully we don't, but you have to presume that we will. And what is going to happen with these structures? Where is all the snow going to go? This is going to impede the snow removal even more than the challenges that we had previously. So that's something I feel that has to be considered. The other day, I unfortunately had a flat tire on 3rd Avenue. I did not know where to pull over. I was having to be on between 86th and 87th and on 3rd Avenue. And it was almost impossible to pull over to the side of the road because the structure's there. So now I'm like double parked, and people are trying to get around me. And this is a huge problem. And then you brought up about Positano. I live down the block from Positano. They are a major offender of the parking, the double parking, the parking perpendicular to the sidewalk, and no one does anything about. The police, they must be paying them off, I'm assuming, because nobody comes around, nobody tickets, nobody does anything. And that is extremely frustrating to me as a resident. So I just wanted to voice these concerns, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Julie. Dan, you've had your hand up for a while. Oh, you're on mute. Can't hear you.
Well, he's on mute. I would just like to reinforce something.
All right.
Just 1 second, Doris.
Sorry. Of course, I get hit with the tech problem. But I know everyone's gonna be like, "Uh-oh, what's Dan gonna say on this?" But as far as outdoor dining is concerned, I am incredibly positive on the idea of outdoor dining as a concept, as an urbanist concept, as an idea of public space being for the public and having the widest variety of uses for the public. I do agree with a lot of the board as well on the fact that the city has absolutely bungled this rollout. These were emergency structures. But if we are going to move forward as a city to make this a permanent concept, and I believe that we should, the city should start doing its fair share of work and money and investment into making it work, which means Department of Design and Construction should be updating and expanding sidewalks and making sure that wheelchairs can properly access it, not relying on privatization and just the individual business to make sure that ramps down to the curb are okay and all of this stuff. Because right now we're just retrofitting old street infrastructure to honestly a very good concept, but it is not applicable to our streets in the current way that we build them out. So I believe that the rules and regulations absolutely should be under much more thorough review. That there should be, I think we're rushing it a little bit. I believe it should be rushed, but in a positive way, in a way that actually works for our street infrastructure to make a more pedestrianized and public and urban environment in our cities. We're only going to see more population increases in cities in the coming decades. We need to expand and build. We need to move forward in terms of how our cities work in terms of infrastructure. Outdoor dining can be part of that, but if we just make permanent the emergency structures that we have in the moment, That's not going to do anyone any favors, and more than likely, it would just end up privatizing public space.
Dan, I just would like to make one point, just a point of fact, something that Julie said that no one has spoken about, snow removal. I've sat in on a number of these things. We don't have any answers yet what they're going to do, but it has been mentioned a number of times, you know, by DOT that they do have concerns about snow removal and sanitation, street cleaning that Preston brought up. We don't have any solutions yet, but just to state that they have stated these things and that they are on their radar. That was part of their idea with the sort of semi-permanent structures that would, you know, could be taken down. But again, they don't have any plan on it. I just want to know that, you know, they have heard people's comments about that. That's the extent of my comment. Okay, so I do see a few hands up and I'm not sure, these are people who've already spoken. So I'm going to just move on to somebody who hasn't spoken. I don't know if your hand, just check if your hand's up, if that's just a remnant, and take it down if you just left it up there accidentally. But Diane Gennardis, go ahead.
Thank you. I just question, and I had said this at the committee meeting, you know, a lot of these outdoor structures look pretty enclosed. And I thought that the idea of outdoor dining was for it to be an open area so that, you know, there would be circulation of air, etc. But a lot of these places have a totally enclosed area. And so I wonder why those are allowed. That to me looks like just an extension of their indoor space. You know, yes, Positano is one of them. The Hunter Steakhouse, I thought, I drove by and this whole green thing was just covering the outside. And I just wondered, you know, where is the outdoor piece of this? Just because it's not under brick and mortar.
Yeah, so as far as I know, from what I've heard so far, you're not allowed to have it fully enclosed. That is not permitted. There's no enforcement, as we see. But that's not technically permitted. It is not permitted that it be fully enclosed.
But that was the point. Yeah, I mean,
that was the point. But I'm sorry, Josephine, but I think the only thing I could have thought of is the reason that they might enclose it is because maybe just to extend a little bit more footprint to give social distancing. That's all I can think about. But I agree. I think it should be outdoor. That's all.
Okay, thanks. Joe, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that there are clear rules currently, even for the temporary program, and that was mentioned quite often, both at the borough board meeting as well as the committee meetings, is that the current rules in place are not being adhered to, and there is no enforcement.
Okay, so I see Julie's hand is still up, and then that's it. And then I think that we should oh, I'm sorry, I got Larry.
I'm sorry,
here.
I forgot to take
I'm
it
sorry.
down.
I'd like to move on to, I'm sorry, somebody who hasn't spoken. Larry, go ahead. I see you, Carmen. Larry, you're on mute.
You mentioned I was going to mention about the snow also. Did anything happen last winter, or when did the street structures begin?
He actually had very little snow
Any
last year.
complaints? Were they?
Yes.
No cars.
We had
were
very
in
little
the-
snow last year, but we did have some complaints, yes.
They were. All right, as far as, I don't want to speak of the building department, the reason probably the building department is not going to get involved because these are not buildings, these are temporary structures. There's no foundation, so really, you're in the street and oftentimes, I know what the building department would be. In terms of the property line into the roadbed of the street, that's DOT's jurisdiction. Oddly enough, the building code is written that you have to go to the building department to get a curb cut permit, but that's, so be it.
Yes, rather ironic. Okay, Carmen, you had I told you I'd get to you next. Where are you, Carmen? You're on mute, Carmen. There you go.
Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, will we be sending those links to like senior centers and to the different bids also? So that other merchants could weigh in on problems they may be experiencing that we don't know about?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Wei Jing.
Hi. Sorry, I'm just going to go back to the street structures. I mean, aside from like just a few restaurants that I've seen that has, you know, outdoor, properly set up for the winter, you know, with the heat lamps and all that. The majority aren't set up. So is there a reason why we're even having these structures out in the middle of winter, like 1/3 of the year? Because they're pretty much not going to be used. I don't know anybody who is going to be eating outdoors in the cold. You know, except for the few.
They're expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. They don't have an answer to that yet. They don't have an answer to a lot. So I don't know.
They're just obstructive. And I mean, with the whole snow, you know, I agree with all of that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just in the way, you know, and for 1/3 of the year, at least minimum in New York, they're not going to be used. They're just going to be, they're not going to be in the same condition from like December to.
One second,
anyway.
Stella. Okay.
And I was just saying, you know, between the snow and the rain and the sleet and all that, like they're going to have to rebuild it anyway, because it, you know, the quality of the structure from the beginning of the winter season to the end of the season, you know, unless it's done properly, it's going to be corroded. So it doesn't make any sense. I understand it's expensive to build and to take down, but the reality is they're going to have to take it down and rebuild anyway for those structures that have not properly been built.
Yeah. Okay,
code.
Stella?
No, I just would like to comment on this lady. What is her name? I did not get the name.
Wei?
Most of those structures have been already removed. I see on Fifth Avenue, some of them are abandoned or they partially have been removed. And I'm sure that they're not going to be using them during the winter. So we should not be very concerned. They're going to have no use for them. So apparently they're going to remove the structure, except a few big restaurants that they have set up very stable structures. And as Diana said, it's almost closed all around. And I wanted to comment also on the young man that spoke before. He made a good point. Out of all these conversations that we keep on repeating and spending so much time, that young man that spoke before Diana made sense. I think we should follow up what he said. It was very important.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have had a good amount of discussion on this. I would, Doris, if you would just please read the motion again so that we're all clear on it, and I would like to call the question.
The committees recommend that we send a letter to the Department of Transportation and the Department of City Planning to urge that the Community Board 10 has a seat at the table during the design engagement process. We want to make clear in the letter that the temporary open restaurant program, which we supported, was an emergency approach to a crisis, and that moving forward with a permanent program, we need to work with DOT and DCP to create something that will work for our residential community. The Department of Transportation and City Planning must acknowledge the impact outdoor dining has had within a mostly residential district. And moving forward, we could support seasonal non-roof structures, an expansion of sidewalk cafes, and any feature that would safely, effectively, and respectively advance the concept of livening the public street while addressing the quality of life and safety impacts.
Okay. So that is the motion on the floor. All in favor?
Yeah, that's the motion. Oh, no, okay, that is the motion. I apologize.
Okay, so we have the polling feature up. So if you're in favor of sending those letters out, please check in favor. If you're opposed.
It doesn't work.
It's inactive.
It doesn't. Can I make a friendly amendment?
It said it was locked to hosts and panelists.
Okay. Give me
May I make a friendly amendment?
Okay, I'll present it and we'll discuss it.
Instead of seat at the table, can it be has a voice? that the board has a voice in where and how many cafes are permitted in our district. Or put that in somewhere, because I think seat at a table is a bit more vague than I would hope.
You're saying, instead of saying has a seat at the table, has a voice?
Or either that or leave a seat at the table, but in the latter part of the motion, that we would like a voice in where and how many cafes are permitted or in our district.
You mean like right now?
Yeah, yesterday.
Exactly.
Okay, so do I have,
So we have a motion to include that the committee.
I was unable to vote. I couldn't check a box.
It should be working now.
Okay, well then I
okay,
need
but
to get it again.
Well, we have a friendly emotion,
someone is requesting a little, a tweak of the language of the motion to include some language saying that in there, requesting not only that we have a seat at the table, but that we have say in the placement and number of
The person made the motion, I accept the friendly amendment.
restaurant dining. And I'm sorry, who was that?
Thank you,
Judy?
Judy.
As the person making the motion, I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you. So now with that amendment, I would like you to all cast your vote in favor, opposed, recuse, or abstain.
And this is of the emotion as amended.
As amended. So everything's the same, writing the letters to the administrative agencies stating that we would like a seat at the table, but also to, in the discussion and framing these rules, and also that we, in addition, be consulted or have a say in the number and placement of the establishments. That is the tweak. Okay, so if we could all cast our votes.
Josephine, can you redisplay the
I don't
ballot?
have the poll.
It's up here. I see it on my end.
I'm sorry, I did not get it.
Okay, so how do you vote, Julie?
In favor.
Okay, so then I'm going to share the results. So we have 32 in, with Joe, 33 in favor and 3 opposed.
Okay, so the motion carries.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And now we are going back to Police and Public Safety with Barbara Vellucci. Barbara Vellucci,
Hi, everybody.
you are on.
Thank you. It was an eventful evening with many establishments. So I will begin. We were in quorum and our committee met via Zoom on December 6th. It was a request for an alteration of application for liquor, beer, wine, and cider for Parkville Corporation, doing business as Park Asia, 811 66th Street. It is basically, this restaurant is expanding into the adjacent attached building. This attached building will operate as a catering hall. The owners, Ying Timmy Chen and Stephen Schaefer, were present. The manager is Maggie Gu. This application does not yet have the certificate of occupancy as it is still in the construction. The application states that there is a capacity for 100 people. There will be 86 seats and 13 tables. Photos and floor plan were provided. There will be private parties as this will be a catering hall, and there may be a DJ for these events. There was no menu provided. There is no adverse history associated with this address. And Assemblyman Peter Abadi also wrote a letter in support of this business. There was a discussion about this, and we also spoke and we talked about the outside, considering that there will be 100 people to describe and to talk about the entrances and exits. And it seemed that everything has all that it needs to for an easy exit. 10 people, 10 tables of 10, perhaps less. And it's a fairly large establishment, so it won't be sort of like a, a bar. It's more of a controlled atmosphere. And after a discussion period, the committee's decision was to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations: that the premise will operate as a catering hall. A certificate of occupancy will be acquired. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premise until appropriate authorization is issued by SLA. The hours of operation will be Sunday through Saturday, that's 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., and the manager will be present at all times. The doors and windows are to remain closed in coordination with any amplified music. There will only be background recorded music and/or a DJ, and the sound level will remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. There will be no music amplified on the outside of the premise. There will be no outdoor use. The licensee will not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking permitted, and there will be at least 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. And the applicant agreed that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And as I said, the applicant agreed to all of the above. So I placed this denial with the stipulations for a motion. Do I have a motion from the floor to accept this? Is that Steve?
No,
Then no or a yes or a question?
no, I do. I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, my question is, if you just read to me again what you said, that there would be something in coordination with no music, or in coordination with what again? Or that they had to stipulate that there would be no music and that the doors would be closed in coordination with the music? Could you read that?
The doors and windows will remain closed in coordination with any amplified music.
What does that mean?
That they're not going to have the doors and windows open while the music is playing.
Could we I'd rather it was phrased that way. Because right now, I don't know what it means to be in coordination with the music. It sounds like they might be dancing to the timing of it or something like that. I just think it's it should be more explicit.
Okay, these are the standard stipulations that we've had since I started, but if you want me to change that, I can change that permanently.
Please.
Just say what you said again, so I can write it down.
I'm just saying that they will remain closed during that, when they're playing the music, not in coordination with it.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Lori, you're on mute.
Do we have any thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Wait.
Hi. Did you mention, or were they going to be attached in some way or form to the existing
Yeah, I
establishment?
believe there's like a small, like little easement walkway, but
Okay.
the building is
Okay.
attached.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
because the
I've
kitchen's
been
in the
there.
other building. Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see, because I know there's bathrooms on that side.
There's
where
bathrooms
it's
on both
adjacent-
sides in the back, and then there's an
Uh-huh.
entryway between the two buildings.
Okay, so there is a connection. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
We had a meeting at that location.
Yes.
It's good food.
Okay. All right. So we all, okay. So Steve, is your hand still up? I can't.
No,
or is that
sorry.
from before?
Well, it
Okay.
is, but I didn't want it to be. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So with that, we will call the question. So the motion is to deny the application unless the applicant agrees to the stipulations as
They did.
Barbara stated them.
And they did.
Okay.
second it.
Yes, for board members only. I know there was something in the chat, but the vote is only for board members. Thank you.
Okay. So if everyone
I
can just cast
second
their
it.
vote.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Not seeing the posting yet.
We have 31 votes in Judy's. I don't know why that
And
is.
in favor.
Joe, you're in favor. Judy, how do you vote?
Yes.
So we'll mark you for the record, Judy.
In favor, thank you.
Okay, and I think
Okay.
let's just check the chat because I know that before Jana couldn't vote, so.
Yeah, we
she's on-
voted.
yeah,
Yes.
okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, great. Next, Barbara?
Next is this is a do-over from last November for, it's a new application for liquor, beer, wine, and cider for Fravima Corporation, doing business as Bonacera Restaurant and Pizzeria, 6522 and 6524 11th Avenue. This has been a full restaurant for a little over a year. The owner, Vincent Triolo, was present. The attorney, Vincent Bianchi, was not. This establishment application for wine was approved last November 2020. This premise has a certificate of occupancy. The photo and menus have been provided with the original application. There will be outdoor dining as long as New York City, New York State COVID-19 practices remain in effect. Otherwise, there will not be outdoor dining. There will only be background recorded music. There is no adverse history associated with this address. After a short discussion period, the committee's decision was to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations: that the premise will operate as a restaurant. There will be no sale or consumption of liquor or alcohol other than the wine that has been approved on the premise since last year until appropriate authorization is issued. The hours of operation will be Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to midnight. The doors and windows will remain closed while any amplified music is played. They will only be background recorded music, and the sound level will remain below the level permitted by New York City Noise Code. There will be no music amplified on the outside of the premise. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no outdoor use other than what is allowed by New York State and New York City COVID practices. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. And the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And the owner has agreed to all of the above. Any discussion? Okay, so then I ask that this motion be accepted by the board.
In favor.
Thank you, Joe. Judy, do you have it now on your screen?
Barbara, did you meet in quorum?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so then we don't need a second. So we just call the question, just call it. That's it. Everybody
did.
vote.
We did.
By the time I get this right, I'll be done with this job.
Oh, no, you won't.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, next one, Barbara. We're
Some
gonna get
more.
it right.
Request for a new application for liquor, beer, wine, and cider at Gohan Sushi Inc., 533 86th Street. This is a new application for a restaurant wine license at this establishment. The owner, Jing Chen Liu, was not present. The attorney, James Wang, was present. The owner was the manager of the Roast Inc., located at 5124 8th Avenue in Brooklyn, as prior experience. This building has a certificate of occupancy. There are no photos of the interior provided with the application. There was a floor plan, there was a menu, and the application states that the restaurant's capacity is 48 persons. There will be 20 seats and 6 seats at the bar, and there is no adverse history associated with this address. After a discussion period, the decision was to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol in the premise until appropriate authorization is issued by SLA. The hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. The doors and windows are to remain closed while any amplified music is played. It will only be background recorded music and the sound level will remain below the level permitted by New York City noise code. There will be no outdoor use. There will be no music amplified on the outside of the premise. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. And the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And this applicant has also agreed. Any discussion? Okay.
All right.
I've put up the poll feature.
Go ahead, Barbara, call the question.
In favor.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, motion carries.
Excellent.
Okay. The next is a request for a new application for on-premise license for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for Downtown Yummy Restaurant, doing business as BK Seafood Market. The location is 842 64th Street. The owner, Shun Tai Liu, was not present. The expediter, Anthony Carabello, was present. The application knows that this is a transfer of license from the establishment known as Tianfulin, Tianfulin Inc. And that license will expire on August 31st, 2023. This building has a certificate of occupancy. There are photos and a floor plan provided with the application. There was a menu. There will be no outdoor dining. There will only be background recorded music. The application states that the restaurant's capacity is 186 persons in total, which includes the mezzanine level and first floor. There will be 136 seats and 27 tables, and there is no adverse history associated with this address. Now, one of the questions that we had, which we spent some time on, was the number of doors and exits. We asked them to, describe for us. And Josephine, do you have the picture of the outdoors again? I think it was one of the first pictures you put up. So you see the two doors are like garage-like doors, and the small door on the left is also a door for exit. The door on the right does not belong to them. So the committee was satisfied that those two garage-like doors would be large enough for the patrons to leave, and they do have a sprinkler system installed. So after a discussion period regarding that, once again, the committee's decision was to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol in the premise until the appropriate authorization is issued by the SLA. The hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week. The doors and windows will remain closed while any amplified music is played. There will only be background recorded music, and the sound level will remain below the level permitted by the New York City noise code. There will be no outdoor use. There will be no music amplified on the outside of the premise. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking. There will be at least 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. And the applicant agreed that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And the applicant has agreed to all of the above. So do we have any discussion? I don't see anybody. So I ask that this be put to the floor, that the board approve the committee's decision.
Okay. So if anybody doesn't have the polling function up, just give a shout out.
In favor.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, motion carries.
All right, Josephine, as you know, I wanted to discuss one more thing that was taken off the agenda for this evening that I want the board to just have a little background on. There was another establishment that we met at length the evening of the committee meeting. And this is an establishment located right next door to the community board office at 8121 Fifth Avenue. The sign says the name of the place is CB10. It stands for the real name of Sexy by Nature. That even when we began, the attorney was there and he's, jokingly, he said, "Oh, it sounds like a strip club." And, that's the first thing I was thinking, why would you name something like this in a residential neighborhood where we believe that this is a family establishment? It is supposed to be a Japanese Latin fusion restaurant. The attorney was there, Neil Visaki. The owner or owners, because I have a question about how many owners there really are. He was there and said that the owners had to attend to a family emergency. And I have to say at the beginning, one of the committee members said that I was friends with the attorney. And if I were, I would have disclosed that. If anybody knows me, people who work with me, if you were my friend, you got treated a little bit more strictly than anybody else. But it wouldn't make a difference because right from the beginning in reviewing this application, this establishment has become, it is a problem. And quite quickly, Josephine sits in her desk and she hears the music blasting through her wall that she's probably sitting at right now. Before the meeting, there were 5 phone calls and emails from the community and the tenants saying that they hear the DJ advertising for $5 shots. Josephine tells us.
I'm sorry, if I could just interrupt you. I apologize in the interest of time. This applicant, they have stated that they're not going ahead with their application at this time, right?
No,
So
I
they're
was
going to
just
be
told
coming back.
they were adjourning for tonight, but they're coming back.
Yes. And so when they come back, they're going to re-present or, do further presentation. And then the committee will consider and we'll have this on the agenda next time. I'm just saying in the interest of time, because it did end up kind of being a little bit of a long meeting.
No, I know, because I
That
think that
maybe
this
we
is
can
one
just
of the.
keep it all for next, you'll do your full report
I want to
next time when they
respectfully ask
present.
that I just inform the committee about what is going on with this place. And then when we come back, we can have appropriate questions. I'm not going to take much more time. But, these are the type of places where they don't do what we ask them to do. Then they calm down for a little while, just like bocce, and then they go right back to the shenanigans again. And just like the other people said, we work very hard. And I sometimes feel like we're doing a lot for no result. And if Justin's still there, Justin, please, whatever you can do to help us with these establishments. I'm just going to say that quickly, that we have evidence that this is also a hookah bar, the Arabic smoking thing, which is now you're not allowed to create any more establishments such as that. The music is going on and they're selling alcohol without a license. And I'll end it with that. But I want you also to know that the attorney did not know any of this. So he was also blindsided. I'm done. Just I want the committee to know that this place has been working in not the best interest of the neighborhood, all this while.
Okay, but Barbara, I'm just going to ask you if you could just, we're going to be hearing the full information, next, when they come back next month, if they decide to, continue to go ahead with it. But since the attorney did ask that we, adjourn this and putting it over, to the meeting where we'll have full discussion, be able to get all the information out wholesale. Maybe we can just do it next time is my suggestion.
I'm done.
I think it's
I'm done. I have nothing more to
Okay.
say. And I had
All right.
spoken to Josephine before this, so.
Yeah, no, I
wouldn't have
know.
Done it without asking.
Oh, no, I know. Okay, so so that concludes our committee reports. Do we have any old business that anyone would like to bring up? Any hands for old business? Oh, Jill, go ahead. You're mute.
Barbara.
There you go.
Bellucci, can you
I
stay
don't.
on? Can you stay on afterward? I just want to mention something to you.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Way.
Yeah, what's the update on that zoning and land use committee? There was that cheat sheet, that booklet that this guy was putting together. I was looking forward to getting it because I was a new member, and I don't know what happened to that book unless it was sent out and I didn't realize. Did I miss it?
Apologies, we were going to do some updates and we got bogged down in other zoning issues and we will look at it again and hopefully get it out very soon.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
had,
All right, good.
we also had some printing issues with the program that he used, but hopefully that'll be resolved soon.
All right,
And it'll
awesome.
be
Thank
coming
you.
way, and there's gonna be lots of new updates that were just added.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Right. I don't know if it's going to be outdated now. Okay. Wait, I saw Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I just would request that in the future, that the poll not be put up until the report is given. I've noticed that people were voting before they even had the full information that was in front of them. And I don't, that's something that would normally have not been done if we were just in a all present together at a community board meeting where we would raise our hands.
Okay. Yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Steve.
thank you.
Does anybody else have any other old business they'd like to bring up? Any new business?
Well, on the old business, I
Oh,
was
no,
just,
go ahead. Just throw it out there.
sorry, just wondering whatever happened with Bocce, with the abuses that, he was creating there. What happened with that? I never heard.
I could just tell you quickly that the police, the commanding officer, went to speak to the owner of Bocce. It quelled a little bit. We got, new noise complaints, pleas for help again. And, it was addressed, but I have to say, looking at some of the noise complaints, it's intermittent, and there are still nights when noise is an issue. It's ongoing.
Okay. Do we have any other? Oh, Julie, are you speaking? I can't tell.
I just want to say it's ridiculous. So nothing's going to happen to these people. They're major offenders and they're going to continue to do it because nobody does anything about it. The cops or whoever.
All of the elected officials sent letter about Chill, and Chill got their renewal.
They got their renewal.
They got their renewal. Amazing. So basically, when we said no, then they went and they got it anyway.
All the elected officials.
Josephine, is there anything we can do, sister?
I guess they're being paid off for
They're
something.
being very frustrated. Barbara does such amazing work, and we have to, how can we as a community board who's known for our integrity, our hard work, how can we make our voice, instead of just keep getting beaten or accepting being beaten? Is there anything structurally we can do? I guess Justin may still be on, but I think we just have to rise up and say, we're not taking this anymore. Maybe we have to all quit, protest, quit until they start listening to us or something.
Well, yeah. Oh, that'll do it. Okay. I would like to speak to this. I wanted to speak to it anyway. So let's just call it new business or whatever business we want to call it, old or new. Yes. It is frustrating. I mean, I've mentioned in my previous reports at times saying, I feel like the ant trying to move the rubber tree plant sometimes. It is so frustrating. Okay. But for those people who have been on the board a long time, and even, some of you who haven't, you can't just throw in the towel. Let's face it. I know, okay, you hear, well, we are advisory, but what does that mean? Okay, you have to have an understanding of really what that means and what our role is. People say, oh, we just say no, and they do it anyway. We don't have a right to say no. We are a creature of statute. We're not just here like appointed to do whatever we want. We serve a very narrow role. And when we say we're advisory, that means they really created community boards to voice the community's concerns. And there are very narrow parts of the law, meaning written law, where we are required to be notified of things that go on. And there's a process that's filed. They have to legally give us notifications so that we can have a meeting on it. We can discuss it and put in our comments. But as a general rule, we basically, they look to us just for our opinion as people in, the vast sprawling parts of the city, right? So every pocket of the city, which they've broken into a district, gets to state their voice. So sometimes we can say no all we want, right? Just no, we won't approve this, but we don't have the authority to approve or disapprove in many situations. The other thing is, and I also think that this is a very important, something that really has also been lost when new members came in, especially during the pandemic. And something that was very hard for me when I first came on the board. And I'm sorry I'm speaking so long, but I do think that this needs to be said. And we don't really have that chat time that we used to get when we were in person, where you can go on the side and go chit chat. And I think that that was very valuable in new members and even old members raising questions to each other and discussing our role or anything else about city government, because we are a voluntary lowest level of city government where we get to give our opinion and we get to weigh in on things. So our voice really goes out. Where does it go? Does it go out into the ether? It goes, so who's listening? Our elected officials. Sometimes it's the SLA. Sometimes it's, the police department. Sometimes it's the mayor. This year has been insanely frustrating because I don't know if you want to chalk, I'm not going to say the because, you want to chalk it up to the pandemic, you want to chalk it up to the administration, you want to chalk it up to whoever, you want to chalk it up to, the agencies who we give our advice to, right? We coordinate with sanitation, we coordinate with fire department, we coordinate with DOT. These agencies being overwhelmed, understaffed, maybe underpaid, whatever the case may be. My message generally has been in my reports, we need to scream as loudly as we can. Because at this point in time, I feel that the agencies are in a bit of flux. We've got it's been voiced many times by many people that they feel like that the outgoing mayoral administration was not listening very much to the comments, and these just aren't comments of our board, they're the comments of many boards that I've heard, at Borough Board. So is it frustrating? Yes, it's frustrating. Look, it's a personal decision, you want to resign or not, but how can you resign? Sometimes they just want us out of the way because we're the stick in their spokes of that big wheel that's turning. How can you resign? If you want to be heard, you can't resign. You can if you want to, it's up to you. If you feel there's a better way, go protest, go march, go write letters to your congressman, do whatever you want, run for elected office. I think that this is still, because we are mandated by the city charter to exist for the time being until there's a city charter change, a place where we are given a purview. When people, when you're just one resident in the neighborhood, something's going on. You call up the agencies, you get lost in the ether. When you're a resident in the neighborhood and you call the board, believe it or not, we do have sway. Josephine can call the right number at the right agency and get their attention to your problem. It happens. Anne, Steve, Doris, Judy, so many of you have seen that we have made change. I think of the zoning the down zoning that occurred even right before I got on the board. That was fantastic So is it frustrating? Oh my God, it's so frustrating. Some days I say to myself, what am I doing here? Really, what am I doing here? I am just wasting my time. But that's just me getting down on the whole process. And look, it's government. There's red tape. There's, politics going on, and people maybe who you think should get involved aren't getting involved. But listen, if you want to hang it up, hang it up. This is all voluntary. You don't even get fired from it, right? But you've resigned anytime you want. But I think if you do so, that
I think
you're taking away part of your democratic right. I think that we're like the base of democracy. If you want grassroots, this is grassroots. Judy over there getting pissed off. Yes, that's awesome. It's grassroots. We should do something. Let's think about it.
So I propose that in January that maybe we create some sort of think tank committee to think about whether we can coordinate with other boards about this issue of frustration, about the issue of if we can come up with, I don't think we should solve at this meeting, but I think that the level of frustration is increased. Maybe it'll change into the new governor, but I think we should bite into it a little bit and see if we can come up with a different way that maybe we just attack one issue. We're going to make our stand on this and force ourselves to do that.
And I will say there has been a lot of communication between boards and about getting together on issues, and not only communication, there's been action on that. There's been letters that have been sent out, and boards sign on to it, if that board has the support. But you got to remember, we've got Dorothy and Josephine in the district office, and then we've got all of us. If you don't really put your hands on the deck, that we need worker bees. We need people out there. We have people who do that. On our board, and really just so selflessly devote so much time to really get these things done. But a lot of it involves digging in. You got to read through boring stuff and write letters and, analyze. So,
Lori, I'd like to
there's
make
a lot of
comment,
that. Go ahead,
please.
Dean. Yeah.
Yeah, this is especially to the board members who are extremely frustrated, because I think we are all frustrated. I just want to state that I'm on the board 21 years, I think. Too long, but anyway, we have accomplished so many good things, especially when it comes to traffic and transportation. The actions of our board have saved lives, going to DOT and having DOT make changes in certain areas. What has been really frustrating now is we're dealing with two very big issues that are done deals coming from the mayor's office. So it's going to sound negative, but all the input we have, we're not going to change it. So if you're a newer board member, in the last 2 years, we've been dealing with issues that we are unfortunately not going to have a big impact on because it's coming from the mayor's office. But another time, you'll ask Josephine how successful we have been in representing the community and getting things done. And if we were not here, who is going to respond the way we do to the residents who have problems? The answer is no one. There are elected officials, and I'm just going to, in my opinion, who would love to see the community boards go because we are a thorn in their side. And that's a good thing that we're a thorn in their side. So please rethink your positions. This has been a very frustrating 2 years. Because of the mayor's office and because of him pushing two big issues that most communities don't agree with. But stick with it. We're going to have a lot more success in the future.
Thanks, Dean. Dan?
Yep, just on this theme, since we are still in new business, I would like to maybe propose for the new year, sometime in January, if maybe we could form a ad hoc committee, either with the chair or just to discuss the idea of the 197A plan, which I brought up a couple of months ago, which is the community board sponsored and led design process for basically forcing the city to do something that we want. We could just discuss it, figure out what's involved, and do some research and come back to the board on this issue with a possible, thing that we could do that is legally up to us to do. So maybe in the new year, we can just have a quick meeting and do a little bit of homework and figure out what is involved in it.
Okay, thanks. Sandy?
Yeah, going back to this level of frustration that I've sensed from some members of the board, I'm hoping that our new mayor-elect, being that he was our borough president, and he has put half of us on this board to begin with. I spoke to him one time at a fundraiser, and I told him that I'm one of his appointees, and that one of the frustrating things is that we can't get things done because we have City Hall or other people that just keep overriding us. So hopefully with Eric Adams, maybe let's see if that works in our favor. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Sandy. Anybody else? All right, so that is it. We have no more comments this evening. I want to thank you all so much. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we've got first, we've got second. Okay, great. Everyone, have a very, very happy holiday season. Happy New Year. And I guess, we're going to have a lot to do in the new year, looks like.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
All right, thank you.